Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 3. And just quickly before we jump into this video, I hope everyone had a nice holiday festive break, if you want to call it that, with Christmas. I know Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and stuff like that just started. But yeah, I just hope that everyone had a nice time with family and ate some food, because I ate a bit too much food and I'm definitely feeling it now. So as we should all know at this point, Season 3 of The Flash has laid out some future events to occur which will have us all theorizing and putting puzzle pieces together in order to solve before they actually occur. These events are obviously Savitar's prophecies. Just to refresh your memories in case you had forgotten, these three prophecies of Savitar are that someone from Team Flash will betray the others, another will fall, or in other words die, and another will suffer a fate worse than death. Later in the same episode that we heard these prophecies, Barry is actually flung 5 months into the future after hurling the box containing the Philosopher's Stone into the Speed Force. It is here that we see two major things occur. The first being a news report, which thanks to the new trailer that got released earlier this week, we got more information on. And we also saw a big oh shit moment with Savitar impaling Iris West with his blade as a future version of Barry begs and pleads for Savitar not to. And honestly, I don't know why this future Barry bothered begging. I think we all know Savitar really has no compassion. But anyway, the return of Season 3 of The Flash in late January will, for the first episode at least, that being episode 10, focus on these future events that Barry saw. And him, along with the rest of Team Flash, will be trying to prevent Iris's death from happening thanks to Barry seeing these future events. Now, as I've put in the title, will Barry messing with the already planned future result in someone else dying? That person, who a lot of people seem to be predicting as well, being Iris's father, Joe West. I think if Iris's death is prevented, which if you have watched some of my videos around this topic previously, I actually do not think will happen. I still think Iris will die. Then Joe West does seem like the most likely candidate to fill that death void left by Iris. But in what ways could Joe possibly meet his fate? We will start off with the option that I've already sort of alluded to, and that has to do with Savitar killing Joe West. Now, if this was to occur, it would be a straight up swapping of places with Joe and Iris West. Obviously, the timing and location of the death may be different, but the playing out of the death would be pretty spot on to what we have already seen with that Iris death in the future. I have seen a few people questioning others why Joe would die. Well, I don't think it is because people actually want Joe to die. It's just more that they have added some things to the show that could allude to it. Two of these to bring up are Joe's new girlfriend, Cecile, and of course Wally. At the beginning of this season, I did mention in a video that I did feel the introduction of Cecile was to give Joe more story, as well as give us, the viewer, a bit more of an emotional connection to him, which does seem strange seeing that Joe is the dad to three of the show's main characters, that being Barry, Wally, and Iris, obviously. But I still stand by that point. So Joe being in a happy place, possibly happier than he has ever been, then seeing him die would be shocking and quite terrible. And then there is Wally, who I feel would be given an interesting storyline if Joe was to die. Whether that be he is annoyed at Barry and that causes a lot of friction, or possibly annoyed in himself that he couldn't save or protect his dad. Because you got to remember, when we were first introduced to Wally, he was basically trying to be a hero without powers. And he was able to sort of protect people doing that. And now that he has powers, he wasn't actually able to save his dad, which is one of the people he cares for most. So he might feel a massive burden on himself. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, please don't do that. Too much drama. But you got to realize this is the CW. It's a channel that really focuses on these dramas. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was to happen. And it would also give Wally a storyline outside of being like the sidekick to Barry if they're going to do that either later this season or in season 4. Now, the second option for Joe's death actually has to do with Killer Frost. Now, I only have two options. If you have another option, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. So going back to that news report from the future, you do see Killer Frost still at large. Also in this news report is West honoured at City Hall. Now, the first name of this West honoured at City Hall report is cut off, but it is most likely like 99% Joe West. In regards to Caitlin becoming Killer Frost again, seeing this is like a foreseen future, we have to assume that it actually takes effect and that Caitlin does become Killer Frost again. The second part of this really has to do with how you perceive, I guess, the word honored. In this instance, there are two ways to look at it. The first being honored as in like an award for bravery or recognition, or possibly a promotion. And the second being honored as in remembered after a sacrifice, which would mean death. And I think both of these will actually occur. And by that I mean like the original timeline that Barry saw, Joe was honoured in a way of recognition, possibly promotion. We do know thanks to the future newspaper that Joe's meant to become the police chief. So this could have been like a stepping stone to that future. And the second has to do with Joe being honoured in a remembrance sort of way after being killed, possibly by Killer Frost, which would connect to the whole Killer Frost still at large thing as well. It is important to remember that that future news report sort of would have hinted at Joe still being alive, but Killer Frost still being at large. So possibly she was just doing criminal things anyway. But if it was to change and this honoured thing was meant to change to Joe actually being dead, then it wouldn't surprise me if they connected Killer Frost to it in some way. Because it would be more emotionally charged, if you want to call it that, if someone from Star Labs or someone that's, big on the show was to kill Joe. We know that someone from the team is meant to betray Team Flash, so you think it might be Caitlin going Killer Frost and actually ending up killing Joe. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be very much appreciated if you could leave a like on it. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of all of this? Do you have another option for how Joe could possibly die? And do you actually think that Joe will die? Because I still think that Iris is going to die. I think she's going to be the death this season. But if in some way, shape or form that she is not killed and her death is prevented, then I think someone is going to fill that void and someone else will die. And just going by the characters on the show and for how it would affect the show, you would have to think Joe would be at the top of that list. And if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.